When going up against RNGesus, you often have to brute force your way through the run. Resets can bring poor souls to their knees. Those who show perseverance will get rewarded greatly. Event Match 16 is the most RNG heavy event in the game. There are very few things you can actually control. There is a famous saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When everything is up to RNGesus, doing the same thing will give you different results. For more than 2 decades, the event has followed the same recipe. And in 2024, a breakthrough happened in the world of tosses. How did we get there? This is the story of the luckiest speedrun. Old world records are pretty tough to know for sure. There were many forums used, many of them are also down today. People tried their best to gather information and make lists. Some were attempted to be regional or continental, while some tried to gather the best from all over the world. Some lists being top X amount of players, while some trying to see how they did compared to Japan, since they were the dominant force. Freestart had control over the top 3 European times, last updated in 2003. Europe didn't have the strongest ones on this event. Bugs Bunny 32 made top 10 lists, but also checked Japanese sites and wrote down their times before they got updated. We don't have a name, but the first record I could find is from 2002 and was held by an unknown Japanese runner with a time of 10:48. Unfortunately, I can't show you this run. It's not on video, a common theme for records back in the early 2000s. We're already talking about the world record and can't say for sure how it looks. I think we need to take a closer look at the event itself. You spawn on Canaria, controlling the pink Kirby, and your goal is knocking out all of the yellow Kirbys. There are a total of 10 you need to take out, and only 5 of them can be on the screen at any point. If you try hitting them with any attacks, you're out of luck. The only way to knock them out is by grabbing the warp stars that randomly spawns. This is where the RNG kicks in. Where the star spawns, when the star spawns, and how long the animation after you pick up the warp star is determined by RNG. When you have grabbed the star, you can steer a bit to the left or right to get the perfect hit. On the first hit, you want to get at least 3, but preferably 4 Kirbys. There is one Kirby walking to the left and will be far away from all the other Kirbys when the star spawns. Getting 2 or 3 with the second star and the rest with the third quickly became the way of doing it. The RNG will determine if you actually can do it with 3 stars, in a reasonable time of course, by where it spawns. And when it spawns plus the star animation can make a difference of something between 1 and 2 seconds. The only thing you can control is how fast you grab the star and where to steer it. And of course if you should reset because of bad star spawns. Those are the most common ones. We will go back to Bugs Bunny 32's work. His oldest top 10 list is from February in 2004. It does not include Japanese runners, so it's hard to say if this is accurate. But the next world record could be Bugs Bunny 32 himself with a 10:41. It could also be a 10:35 by a Japanese runner updated by Articuno 2001 in June of 2004. Finding accurate record lists from this era is hard. The French had a forum that was used for quite a while. Here we meet a legend in the making, Infernum. At the end of 2004, he would share all of his PBs for events. On 16, he had a 1085, half a second behind the world record. Unfortunately, videos were scarce, so we can't see his progression. In the beginning of 2005, Infernum and Pierre the Killer, also known as PTK, both got some runs on 16. Both of them actively updating their times. PTK actually having a video of his 1077, which was also marked as the European record at the time, and maybe the video record. Let's take a look. A little slow on the star grabs, but it's a great place to start. In March of 2005, Infernum had a 1075. We can only assume that it looked similar to the run from PTK since there is no video for it. But it's 2 months later, in May of 2005, our hero Infernum got the world record with a 1021. Once again, no video was ever created for this run. We can only assume that it would have looked a little something like this run from Chrono a few years later. Infernum was one of the greatest to ever touch events, and for this event he really put Europe on the map. Even though a few of the strongest runners from this era was from Europe, with players like SN, PTK, Superjuppe, this was an event where Europe didn't see too much success before Infernum. Moving forward, he would be one of the biggest runners to dominate event matches together with the Japanese titan, Sin. Sin being known for his events and being a champ in homering contests for years to come. Both of them got records, sometimes with videos, while sometimes get runs without it. The unfortunate thing with Sin is that most of Sin's run are gone after they took down their YouTube channel. It's a huge loss for the history books, but that's the world we live in. Infernum's run stood uncontested for the rest of 2005, and in the beginning of 2006, something great happened. A new forum got up, Smashvids. Here we saw runners from all over the world. We had the titans like Infernum and Sin, plus many others. This really connected the people. People would share their times here, and in March would get a pretty good list containing the world records. On 16, there were 2 times. Since one of them were marked as unverified, we will continue with Infernum's record. Both Infernum and Sin got multiple world records. Which brings me to the next world record set by Sin. On a post he shared this. Event match 16. 10.10. Not on tape. I'm very sorry that I didn't record it. Sin recorded a lot of his runs, and unfortunately, this one doesn't have a video. These records are getting stronger and stronger, and yet, there is one thing that's missing. Matching a run like this is not an easy task, and we're approaching a huge milestone. The sub 10. You need the stars to align to get a chance. RNG can definitely scare people away. There are so little control in your hands. So the years passed, and no one could get a run like this. The year is 2009. Dr. M is on a tear, getting world record after world record. One of the events he's challenging himself to do is 16. This is the run he got. Even 3 years later, the Japanese beast who got record after record ended up just shy of Sin's run. Could anyone beat Sin? Could we ever see a sub 10 here? Looking at the run sets the picture of how strong the run from Sin was. The run looks flawless, yet it's still behind Sin. The luck on this run was pretty solid, so what could have been done? There is not too much you can do as a player, other than playing more and hoping for something good. So much is out of your control. For good reasons, Dr. M seemed satisfied with this and moved on to other events. He had performed well. Once again, the record stood, and the record got older and older. Yet no one could beat it. In 2013, there were 2 forces, stronger than in Infernum and Sin's days. These Japanese runners were gods dominating events. Dr. M and Keys. We have already seen Dr. M with a monster run from 2009. Keys had multiple insane runs, and together they pushed events the hardest, to unthinkable places. The sheer willpower and optimizations from these two were immense, but one record still stood. Sin's run from 2006 on Event Match 16 was that good. Dr. M got very close again on April 2013, being only 1 frame behind. 6.5 years. And this was the strongest run we had seen so far. The only one who had seen a stronger run was Sin, but he was unable to share it with the world. Once again, when we look at Dr. M's run, we see the highest tier of execution and brilliant RNG. He has to spend a little time running, but it's kept at the minimum, so that's expected from this event. The run is amazing, and getting something better could take ages. RNGesus is not known for showing mercy, so the likelihood of a sub 10 was definitely there, but it was gonna take everything. A few months later, we'd get the proof we needed. Sub 10 is doable. Take a look at this toss.
Ready, go!
There is a glaring difference. The toss gets the warp stars instantly. Grabbing the stars mid-air is not viable for humans. You're not gonna know where or when it spawns. It's doable, but seems a bit hopeless at the same time. The world records for events had really started to slow down, only a few every couple of months. Keys proved to be the strongest moving force forward. In 2015, Keys got a couple of records, including the first ever world record on Event Match 16 with a video. Take a look at this. This is a collection of 4 incredibly strong records, and when you take a look at the time, you'll notice that Event Match 16 almost reached the magical barrier. The run is amazing, but it seems like you need to play like a toss to beat it. The star gets grabbed as it lands. This run would be around the limit for what we could expect. The two GOATs at the time, Keys and Dr. M, couldn't push for a sub 10, but they got some incredible runs. This event will suck out your mental energy to feed RNGesus. Could anyone be up for the task to get sub 10? As the months stretched into years, events would get a new runner. He didn't have too many good runs, mostly focusing on a few events. And after having done speedruns on events for almost a full year, this event became the next project. At this point, he was only known for pushing Event Match 33 to the next level, the same level as the toss. He had the same intentions for Event Match 16. In other words, he'd jump for the stars. The last star he tried to jump and grab most of the time ended up being a nair, since the star didn't spawn there or spawned later. In 2018, I buckled up and got to work. After only a few weeks, I was the one to break the barrier, beating Keys by a single frame. One could say that I simply got luckier, but was that really the case? The final star spawned later for me, and both runs needs the star to spawn relatively close to the fin. The riskier approach will probably cost more runs, but crazy RNG and execution like this is needed for sub 10.
It feels nice to actually be able to breathe out and know that. Yeah! Yes! Yes! Yeah! it! We got it! Oh! Sub 10!
The barrier was broken and this run got into the history books. By the end of 2019, Samplay returned to do some events. He had a lot of great times all over the board, but hadn't done much for quite some time. Slowly returned with a few world records. This ended up being a little teaser for what was about to come. A few months later, when COVID really struck in Europe, many would be forced to stay at home. Speedrunners rose to new heights. This was no exception for Samplay. In the span of 2 months, he'd completely turned events on its head. New strats and records popping up every day, sometimes multiple records a day. At some point, he had to do event match 16, right? Indeed. Mid-April, it was event match 16's turn to get a taste of Samplay's revolution. An incredible run. Also going for the mid-air catch. But there was a difference with this event and the other ones. To quote him, finally a good completion. Going for the last Z catch looks so cool. He was satisfied. He moved on to crush more world records and was satisfied with this one. Samplay's tally went up and it looked like he was gonna sweep the leaderboard, but in May of 2020 he moved on. Countless event match world records would get swapped by PBs on break to targets. By the end of 2020 he'd get a few more, but event match 16 remained untouched. So, how good is the world record actually? 999 is pretty close to 987, only a difference of 7 frames. The thing is, both the TOS and RTA world record are kinda bad. Let's elaborate on that. This is a cocktail of RNG, like Samplay said. The last star on both TOS and RTA record could spawn much earlier. But RNGesus doesn't necessarily give you what you need, and when you get it, you might be off with something. Or the earlier stars might be off, so the Kirby's have not come down yet. It's also possible that the star travel takes a little longer, or when you hit on the ground they don't die perfectly. Or you lose time for some other reason. So even though the run might be impressive, it's still one of the most improvable records. Let's take a look at the star grab from Samplay's 505. And in this 505, there are so many ways you can get screwed over. But that would not stop Samplay, because 15 minutes after the tie, Samplay would get this run. So close, yet so far. You never know when you'll get your next chance, but Samplay ain't done. He's determined. I will get this sub. 2023 is when Samplay was ready to go on the most brutal grind he had ever done. The brutality could definitely get to you. No matter how patient you are, Samplay turned silent and had to dig deep for this one. Days turned into weeks, and he finally broke the silence. This is what he had in store for us. He finally got the dream run, sub 10 and a new world record. Or was it a dream run? Remember when I told you the old world record by me and the toss by Gamer Freak was kinda bad? Both Samplay and myself knew that this could get much lower, but the RNG needed is absurd. The comments on this run from Samplay are a bit conflicting. On Discord he had positive comments like, "Yes!" talking about how horrible the event was for him. So bad that he seemed to be done with it forever. On the other side, we have his YouTube description. Run is still quite meh. The brutal nature of 16 is enough to break a man, but reaching this milestone is truly something special. As of today, there has only been 2 sub-10s RTA, but for how long will that be the case? In the very beginning, I talked about the breakthrough in the world of tosses. While the landscape of the event has stayed the same for more than 2 decades, there is a tosser that has broken events. What he found has made sense, but getting a run with everything has just seemed so unlikely. Let me present to you the holy grail for event match 16.
Ready? Go!
This is just incredible, but this isn't what we expected to see. I've discussed many events with Freezard and really wanted him to toss the event. My intention was to see what we should have seen a long time ago. In my mind, a 9.5-ish was what I was looking for, but Freezard took it to the next level as usual. I've asked him to tell me how this came to be. This is what Freezard had to say. I was tossing 3-star strat and I was thinking, this is way too much RNG. Even a slow 2-star complete might still be faster. And a lot less annoying regarding RNG. I tried to group up the Kirby's by pushing them, but then I saw that you could get there fast enough to block them. Blocking wouldn't work for long. But luckily, there happened to be a star spawn right above to grab quickly. The biggest problem though was aligning all the Kirby's to be hit by the 2nd star. Me and Viking tried to figure out a good spawning order, but in the end, the explosion was too small for it to work. Then, like a call from above, the problem Kirby that used to move to the left when respawning instead moved to the right. And that made the strat possible. Our theory crafting started with Freezard showing me this, but as he told me, a call from above made the difference. The thing with Freezard is that he has the guts to try out new things, even if it ends up being slower. Because when he strikes, you know he has the Midas touch. This is the holy grail, and I can guarantee you that this is not the last time he brings us gold. This event stands out to be one of the most impressive records. Not because of the technical abilities, but because of the perseverance and patience needed. Your willpower, your mind is what defines the limit. One day we might see a 2-star run RTA, and you'll still need the same qualities. I hope you have enjoyed the journey through Event Match 16's history. If you did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. If you're interested in another story, feel free to check out this one. Until next time, have a good one.